Okay.
So, yep. And I have shared my screen. So this is one of my demo. This is one of my class or a demo which I gave. Not a demo. It was a session, entire React session that I underwent. So this is the way I code. I have a GitHub repository. So before we start, we'll be creating a GitHub repository. We'll be creating a small sample project. And then inside the sample project, let's say if I go to the source file, I have a whole lot of, different components that we created inside let's say when we talked about React. So these are all practical stuff.
Okay.
Covering everything, every aspects of React. So no interviewer can trust me, go beyond these concepts. And it's like a live coding. So let me get into these files. So the file that is written over here is like a live coding. We'll be coding it together.
Okay.
And we'll be covering a whole lot of concepts like this.
Okay.
Okay, so these are the concepts that we are going to talk about. We'll be touching upon all these concepts and whatever comes into the market. So this does not contain hooks, which is a new feature. It does not contain higher order components, which is again, one of the new features. I do have my articles on the same. So we can discuss in details about those stuff also. Anything which is new into the React market, we can just talk about.
Sure.
Or anything apart from that, we can talk about JavaScript.
So what about React?
This is intro my meeting.
You can cover React Native as well for me?
See, the difference between React and React Native is the rendering engine. Okay.
Right.
You're rendering your React on DOM. Okay. When we come to React Native, it goes and renders everything on a mobile app. So the renderer which is there, the inline renderer, they contains, so let's say over here we have body. So the first thing that you render is a div or a body or something. Okay. Over there, the first thing that you render is view. So once we are good with the React concepts, we can quickly move to React Native and learn how the rendering of React Native is different from React. Okay. So the React Native is an addition to the concepts of React. So underlying library is React, and the engine which the viewing engine that you have, the rendering engine that you have, it changes in React Native. So we'll talk about how that particular syntax is different from the code that we have in the React. So manipulating DOM versus manipulating view, a mobile view.
Okay.
We can cover all those stuff also.
And
also
yeah. Sorry, I was going to say something, I forgot, sorry.
You said what about?
Yeah, I forgot what I was going to say. Please carry on.
Okay, I'm saying, and also, the depth of this program or, the technical discussions that we are going to have, that depends upon the duration that you have.
Okay.
Okay, so React is a big library, Native is a big library. We'll be covering about Node, JavaScript concepts. So it depends, like, what is the duration of the course? I don't know exactly right now what is the duration and what is your availability.
Right.
So, once we have a demo class, after that, we can very well discuss all this stuff. How many hours do you want to cover? How many, what content? How much depth? So we can look on the different parts of this training. And a training cannot have a very well documented content. Okay.
Yeah.
So you can have a table of content. I can very well follow the table of content. But what happens is, let's say I get into a depth of something called, let's say JavaScript compiler. You want to learn something on JavaScript compiler. We went on that particular concept. We, spent couple of hours over there. And then, you come back. Obviously, you can't keep on having the training for a very long time. So at times I'll expect you to go through certain concepts, and then we can, you can come back and we can have more of a discussion around the same, or I can refer let's say a web page to you, which you can try undergoing, and then we can discuss, we can write the code for the same. And yep, I hope you understand, the dynamics.
Yeah. Also,
so yeah.
Are you going to give me stuff to work on, like assignments and homework and all that?
I can ask you to create a dummy application. Now that particular dummy application, it's up to you. How much do you want to create it?
Okay.
because there's no end for a, let's say if you start creating a dummy project, let's say we are studying something over here, we are talking something, let's say new components, class components, and let's say I tell you that this particular topic that we covered today can add so and so features into your dummy application.
Yeah.
So you can go back, integrate that feature into your dummy application. You can, we can have that presented to me. We can look for any bug, problem over there, any enhancement, and any problem.
I guess that also depends. It also depends how much time I have.
Yes, frankly, the thing is, a trainer is not complete until and unless you get a good student. If you are very much dedicated, if you are having interest, if I am teaching you well, at that moment of time, we both will enjoy. I mean, learning JavaScript is very enjoyable for me.
Yeah.
So at that time, if we are good with our technical discussion, trust me, it would be an interesting sessions, and you'll be having a sort of urge to try those stuff out on your end. Yeah. So completely, it's not just on my part how much proactive I would be. It all depends upon you, how proactive you are in taking up the things and learning by yourself.
Okay.
So I can't assure you that at the end of the session you'll be 100% React developer or JavaScript expert.
I know.
It requires a lot of your own efforts also.
Yeah, I understand. I think we should, like in the first few classes, I think we should cover JavaScript core basics as well before we move on to the...
Okay. So yep, the concept that I talk about, hoisting, if you're not aware of hoisting, or let's say, then we talked about hoisting, and then we have some advanced concept like ES6. So at master sex, it contains concepts like let, const, fat arrow functions.
Fat arrow functions, yes.
Then we have rest operator, spread operator. These ES6 features are very extensively used in React.
Yeah.
So a class-based architecture, you should know how to create classes, how to write constructor, how to write functions inside them, have a getter and a setter. So it would be more around how to code the stuff better.
Yeah. See, that's what I want to learn. Exactly. That's what I want to learn. A better way to code as well, because I'm just not comfortable with that at the moment.
Not a problem.
So that's why
That's not a problem.
Yeah. More than the React part itself, I want to learn how to be better at JavaScript. I want to become an expert at JavaScript.
Yep, I can give you a lot of links. I can provide you a lot of stuff to work upon, to read, and yep, then you go.
I don't really like reading. I'll be honest with you, man.
Okay,
I want
not
to
a problem.
do it myself, and then I hate reading for some reason. I don't know why, but
yes. See, let me show you. Let me inspect my browser, and over here, let me come. You can see my screen.
Yeah, I can see.
To the sources tab, and let me go to the snippets. So this is what I do every day. Anything new I get to know, I just start practicing over here itself. So what I am saying in order, so let's say we talk about iterators over here. I'm talking about a spread operator, ES6. So this way, in my class, we'll be just going through all these snippets. We'll be creating any snippet on the run. So let's say we want to talk about let, then somewhere I'll create a new snippet, add some code for the let and cons, explain you the concepts, and so on. So that's why I said my, how I teach is a sort of, this is all what I did for the previous session, which I gave to a girl. So the entire code that you have on the GitHub and this all JavaScript is more or less what we covered. We talked about call, bind, apply, context, closures, how JavaScript compiler works, ES6, how to have a performance, how to work with classes, how to work with inheritance. So this is all that we talked about in terms of JavaScript while coding.
Okay. So this is the sources. So this is where you can test stuff?
I don't know whether you have tried this or not.
I haven't tried sources. I used to do it in the console itself.
So the best way to try any of your JavaScript function is go over here. So in the sources, you have all these tabs. Go to snippets. create a new snippet. Let's say I just want to try let a equal to 10. Okay. And let's say, let me have something more consistent, const a equal to 10 and then a equal to 20. We know that we can't go and update the constant values.
Yeah.
You have a console window over here. Let me run this. Let me save this. Run this script. It gives me an error saying assignment to a constant variable. So this tab is an excellent place where you can just practice your JavaScript.
Oh, okay.
You have instant results. And one more benefit of this tab is, let's say you have a website at the backend. So at this moment, I have a GitHub repository open.
Yeah.
So using this snippets, I can access the elements over here, or I can play with the JavaScript of this particular web page.
Oh, so these are all the snippets that are inside? I mean, they're part of the website, these snippets? Some of them?
No. These are what I created.
Oh, these are what you
So if you talk about the page sources, page snippets, so they are over here. Snippets is what you add in addition to any of the program which is running over here. And this is, you can add snippet, you can learn JavaScript by practicing over here. Okay. So amazing resource, you can just try it out. Okay. And as a part of a demo today, I can start up with a React application, show you from the very scratch, containing nothing and just having a component up and ready. If you want, we can just start up with that. I don't know whether you have some time constraint or not.
Yeah, no, I'm okay. I'm okay right now. I'm okay.
So what we can do is we can quickly start up with a very small dummy application. And as we do always in a programming world, we start with the hello world. And so we can create a small hello world application and we can see how easy it is in order to create any application using React. Okay. So if my screen is visible, I can just guide you through. Or just one thing which I miss is sort of your introduction regarding the same.
Yeah.
Your expertise, your years of experience, and you two already told me what you are looking for in this particular course. So
yeah. So basically, I did bachelor's in computer science, 4 years in Canada. That ended in 2016. And then I worked with PHP, JavaScript, just basic stuff for a year. And then I've been doing AngularJS since 17 now. So about 2 years, less than 2 years.
AngularJS is amazing framework unless you learn React.
So React is much better, you would say, right?
It's much more native to JavaScript.
Much more native. So yeah, exactly.
I mean, I can't compare, I have my own feelings with AngularJS because long back, 5 years, I have worked with AngularJS for 5 years, the time when it came into the market. And we got to explore how amazing a JavaScript framework could be, how easily it helped us to do everything that we wanted. So, I also have a personal feelings, but trust me, React is even better.
Okay. See, now thing is, I'll be honest, even though I've been doing AngularJS for 1.5, 2 years, obviously I don't know React yet, but I would like you to tell me, if not today, maybe over the months, over the few 20-25 days I'm here, why React is better in this way and why AngularJS was better.
Of course. You'll get to know about all those with the technical depth, once we start it. Yeah. I mean, in AngularJS, the biggest problem is the digest cycles that you have. React do not have any digest cycle.
Yeah.
It is you who trigger the digest cycle every time. So you have a much more control over the application performance. You don't want to have random digest cycle running at any moment of time. I just want to restrict when that digest cycle would work. So we'll talk about the depth of all those stuff and we'll definitely compare, since you are an Angular guy, so it would be even more interesting to compare these two technologies with you.
I haven't really used digest as part of the AngularJS. I don't know, for some reason. Do you
No,
mind?
no, no. But even when you change a scope variable, so let's say you go $scope.name equal to some new updated value, we have a digest cycle which triggers at the background.
Oh, okay. So is it similar to the ng model? So whatever you store in the model, if you change something to form and you have an ng model assigned to it, I think it runs the digest cycle every time you update that.
Yep. That's the same concept. So anything that you have, ng model, ng click.
It's like $watch, isn't it?
Yep, it's $watch, but $watch is definitely a very bad option to use inside an Angular application.
Yeah.
It makes your application horrible.
I know.
Yeah. So we can talk about performance.
I didn't know, actually. See, these are the sort of things I want you to tell me because.
Yeah. That's not a problem. I have spent a lot of time in these, stuff. Okay. So. Yeah. If you like my training, we can go forward, and then I can discuss a lot of stuff like like this with you. And yep, let's have. I think we have a time constraint on the amount. I can quickly start up with the application. I start a command prompt, and over here, don't look for what I'm using some commands which is used to create a dummy application. Yeah. These commands are there, which are official from React. We won't talk about these commands right now, but definitely you'll see that the things are getting built from the scratch, just that you have npm start, npm install done by itself. So I just create React app. This is one of the command, npm command, and I say employ manage. Okay, I press enter, and it will take 2 minutes. 3 minutes, I guess.
So it creates all the...
So what it does is it gets a basic architecture or a basic infrastructure for your application. What it does is it integrates the test cases. It creates a small dummy page. Okay. It creates all the test cases. It creates those npm script which runs the program on your local browser. It runs the local server on your system. So in order to render React, you need to have a local server running. So it runs a server on your system. So it contains something called React scripts. These scripts does the magic. They have your server up and running. They create bundles for your JavaScript. They render your JavaScript over there on the browser.
So if this creates the server, then
this creates the architecture.
Okay.
Basically an architecture wherein you get to have a server, some test cases, and a basic web page.
So how does Node.js come into the picture here?
Node.js is not into the picture right now.
Okay.
But
that creates the server.
Yeah. But if I'm going to bring in the Node.js into the picture, I'll say we work out with npm modules. Okay. I hope you are aware of them. If you are not, we can talk about it later. So we have Node package managers. So the command which I wrote over here, which is create React app, is itself a npm module. Okay, so I use this npm module in order to have my bootstrapping for the application up and running. So you can see I just wrote down, create React app, employee management, and it created a folder for me. Inside this folder, it is having a package.js.
Which contains all your modules.
Yep, all your dependencies.
Required for running a React app, right?
React app, yeah. So this is how Node is coming into the picture. It contains package.json. This package.json might be specifying some packages. I'll just open it in a while in my Visual Studio.
Yeah.
And I can even open it.
It might be adding more stuff to it.
So let's see. I open up this folder, it contains the package.json. Then, right now we don't have anything into it, but it will add package lock.json and all those files. Then it will start installing Node modules into it. So the package is not created here right now. Just give this 2 more minutes and this would start working up. So over here, if you see this particular, the scripts getting running, So what it is doing is it is installing node modules. So now you can see node modules came into the picture. So it is now installing some node module into your application. So like HTML Webpack plugins, all these JS is a testing framework, Istanbul, Babel. So you can see a whole lot of node modules. We can go inside this folder and we can see a lot of dependencies getting in. So it will take some time again. I'll come back. Application. I don't have, yep, you can see a lot of node modules. These are all the node modules which are required in order to have the basic app running. But this basic app is not that basic. Most of the industrial applications which they start with this particular create React app module. So they start up their application, they create their environment using this command itself. And it's an official command by Facebook.
Yeah.
So you can see the JS is a testing framework. It imported all the testing frameworks, and then it involved some CSS frameworks. It involved some files from React, some packages, require library, modules for styling, which is Sass. So you can see a lot of stuff over here. Most of the things we might not be even aware of, but yeah, they are required in order to have the basic React app. So you can see this is a lengthy process and it is putting a lot of stuff into our application. We'll still wait for a while until and unless this setup is complete. And then once the setup is complete, it will have two folders. One which contains the basic HTML for your application, and other would be which contains the basic script for the application. Okay. And some more supporting scripts and all. So what we'll do is we'll delete all of them. We'll just have a small HTML file containing nothing but a body tag along with a div tag with certain ID. Okay. And then we'll be just having a script file containing nothing into it. And we'll see how to render hello world into a new React component. I should have done this beforehand itself, but then I always feel it's good to have it in the class itself.
Yeah, that is okay.
But do take time.
Right, I understand. That's fine. Yeah.
So meanwhile, I would say, during the course that we, look for, be very vocal about your expectation, be very vocal about what you understood, what you didn't understand, and the stuff like that. Because the more vocal you are, I'll be in better state to understand your, technicality and your, how much in-depth knowledge you have about the topic. And it's always good to say you don't know something, because if you don't know, then there is a scope for me to explain you those stuff in detail.
Fair enough. Yeah, okay. I will try my best.
So let me go to the application that we create, command prompt. I go to that particular folder. I do nothing, but I do npm start. Once I do the npm start, you can see these scripts would run. It will now start a production server, as it would say.
Yeah. Development.
I don't know whether you're starting a development server, which is like, it is starting a server on your local system and rendering your application on localhost 3000. So I don't trust IE, so I'll go and close this. Yeah. So I'll go over here. I'll just add one more tab. Okay. You'll see the application over here. Once the development server is up and running, now it is deploying your application. You have a front page. Okay. But that is what you require to have a React app up and running. Okay. So I'll go to this particular folder structure. I have a source file, and this source file contains some CSS, and I have a public folder. It contains the JSON or the HTML. Okay. I'll delete few of them. I don't want to have these icons. I have a single HTML file. It contains a lot of stuff. I don't
need any of that.
Want anything like this. I just want the most basic HTML that we can have. I think that is, the least I can do. Just a header tag, body tag, and a div tag containing some ID.
Okay.
We have a lot of JS over here to run the application. We can say app.js. We can see index.js. So index.js is something that we require. Okay. I'll just delete this because React will go and look for. What?
Does it have to be in source, the index.js?
Yeah. So this architecture you have, it is inbuilt, and the scripts which are written in order to compile this project, they are written in such a way that you should follow the same architecture or the same structure for your application. I'm deleting everything which we don't require. We have just two files, index.js and index.html. Okay.
Do we need the service worker JS?
I just forgot to delete this. So these are the two files which contains some source code for your React applications. I have a HTML which has to render, and I have a JS which has to be there inside those index file.
Okay.
This is very basic. I don't think I need to get into any details of this. Just what we are concerned with is this ID.
Yeah.
Inside this div, I'll render my first hello world application. And let's try doing the basic syntax. Maybe something won't make much sense to you, but I can show you how easy it is. This is ES6 feature, which is import. I want to import a React module from a library which is there in my node modules, which is React.
This makes sense.
So over here, I can go and I can see I might be having a React file over here.
Yeah.
Yep. So I am importing an object React from this library, and I want another object which has to do with DOM rendering. So any component that you have that you want to render on the UI has to deal with DOM. So this is a rendering engine which is different in native React and the web React.
Web React,
okay. So this is a component which comes from another library, which is React DOM. So you can see over here, React is a separate library, and then it contains a whole lot of additional libraries to get the other work done, like rendering the DOM on a browser. Okay. So these are two separate files or two separate libraries. Then what I need to do is to my React DOM, which has the capability to render stuff on my DOM elements. React DOM. I'll tell him to render a component. What that component should be, it should be a div containing a small message saying hello world. I can write my name, I'm Mayank, and I'll just close this div. So inside this particular element, I want to render this particular div. And where will I specify that this div has to render? I'll say I want to render this at document.getElementById. What ID it was exactly? It was root. So I want a div saying hello world, I am Mayank, getting rendered in a element containing ID as root.
So now that React DOM object you're using, we could have named it something else as well, right?
This one?
Yeah.
These are standard libraries. So this is the object which comes out from this React DOM library. So you can't change these names. Although maybe var ABC equal to React DOM you can do. And then you can say, React DOM, and then you can do very well to ABC. Although this is the first time I'm trying this out, but it won't make any difference. I'm just.
I was just wondering because I thought object. From Java.
It's good to ask. It's good to ask any question that you want to ask. And maybe if the question don't make sense, we'll just try to figure that together. If it makes sense, we'll have something to learn more.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. So what you are doing is just you are saving this React DOM into another variable, and you are just accessing that variable. It's basically reference itself. It will say React DOM.render.
So the React-DOM library, module has a class named render.
It contains not a class, but it might be a function.
Method, not class. Sorry.
It might be any. It can be a class. It can be a function. It can be a variable. So we have a React DOM over here, If you expand it, it contains some JS files. These are the JS files for this DOM. And somewhere down over here, you'll be having a variable with the name React DOM.
So for the web React, you have to use the render function from the module.
So yeah, React DOM has to do with rendering any data. Okay. So over here, if we can find, just let me try doing it, React DOM. Okay, so it might be a variable over here, although we don't debug the React libraries, but I can show you, not a problem. So you can see over here var React DOM, and somewhere down we might be returning this React DOM out of it.
Yeah.
So see.
There it is.
So this is a library which contains an object, I would say, an object literal containing React DOM that is returned from this React DOM JS. And what we have is a object which is capable of playing around with the DOM elements.
Yeah.
And it has a whole lot of more features that we'll discuss. Okay. So I'll just make this simple enough. I'll just say, okay, React DOM.render.